Hi there and welcome to my channel. Today's projects are for Altenew and I am very excited to have been invited to be part of the October stamps and die release. And I lots of beautiful stamps and dies, and this particular layout you're gonna see the I'm gonna bring in some of the classic alphabet die and also the always there stamp set. I love the combination of these two, especially because you can use lots of colors in the flowers, and these dies are amazing. They create these huge letters. Well, they're bigger than the normal die, but they're bold. And I thought when I had them, my idea was I can create a background with them. So what I did is I cut a piece of a cardstock. I'm gonna say it's around 5.5 inches, and all I'm doing right now is 5.5 by 12. Sorry, all I'm doing is creating a frame around the cardstock. I'm gonna make sure just as a guide, because what I'm gonna do is kind of die cut the X's and the O's on a grid kind of style. Like I said, I'm creating my own die cut background, and my idea is that I want to have this graphic design in contrast to the flowers. I'm gonna add lots of colors to the flowers, and this is gonna help me actually add my title too. So as you can see, all I'm doing is I'm creating the X and the O's in a row or in columns, and I'm gonna keep them, the letters that they kind of gonna keep them because I'm actually gonna use the centers of the O's. Now while that's ready, I'm gonna go ahead and actually use a pencil to mark more or less where I'm gonna set the background on the page. Now I'm gonna go ahead and stamp. As you see, I stamped already pretty much all the images, and the always there stamp set is gorgeous, super versatile. You can add lots of color, you can watercolor it. There's so many things you can do with it. So my choice was to use the layering guide that came with the stamp, and all I'm doing is I want to bring a lot of color, so I'm using quite a bit of the Altenew ink set. Some of them are sunset, red cosmos, red sunset, warm and cozy, rose petal, because I just wanted to bring those kind of tropical warm tones to the layout. I'm gonna use you're gonna see in a little bit that I'm gonna use a little bit of blue in the background, so this is gonna pop really well. And the guy, this flower, it's has quite a bit of layering, but actually super simple to work with. This took no time to stamp, and actually what helped was that I have a stamping a platform, so it helps a lot to work that way, but it's super simple to work with. Now as you're gonna see, I am gonna start building the layout in a way. So first thing I did is I set the die cut piece where I wanted to sit, and I'm thinking a little bit higher than half point of the layout. Once I mark with my pencil pretty much where the corners of the die cut are gonna sit, so that's easier for me to glue it after. And also mark more the corners where the picture is gonna be seated. That way it's gonna be easy for me to add mixed media just to the spot where the picture, where I have this idea of having a cascade of flowers, just to those little spots. I don't want to go a lot of mixed media. I just want a little bit just to create a soft color shadow that's gonna make the flowers stand out. So all I'm doing for this, I'm using some of the Altenew crisp dyes ink stamps, sorry, just to bring some of the color. And I think the ones I'm using are Misty Mountain and the one that comes in the Parisian blue set, the light tone. And all I'm doing is stamping the ink block onto my craft mat, adding a little bit of water, and I'm gonna use my brush and also the packaging technique, like I said before, just to add a little bit of color to the diagonal around the picture without going a little bit of overboard. I just wanted, like I said, to show a little shadow behind it. Super simple mixed media. I am using a Bastel cardstock, which is a little bit thicker weight of cardstock, and it's gonna be able to hold the mixed media a little bit better than regular cardstock. And I did not prep the page. I'm adding, that's what I'm adding, very little water. You're gonna see that it's very minimal, the amount of water that I'm adding, so there's no warping on the page actually. And I'm gonna set that aside to dry. It took no time to dry because, like I said, I'm adding very little water. While that is drying, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the die cut piece. And my idea for the die cut piece is I wanna have it pop off the page. My idea is that to be able to read the X and the O's on the die cut, I want to create the soft shadow that is going to give the definition to the die cut piece that I created. And the little centers of the O's that I save, you're going to see them there. I actually going to use the same foam adhesive just to kind of use it to create the O, And for that, I'm going to use one of the O's that I cut it as a guide, and I'm just going to glue the center to it. And that's going to create the definition of the O. I want it to be graphic, but very defined. Once I have that done, you're going to see that outside of the camera, I actually cut one of the papers from the reflection scrapbooking kit. It had the same tones of blues that I used to create the mixed media. So I cut a piece just to back the picture, and also I cut the X and the O because I'm going to use them to create my title. And since I have this idea of creating, like I said, a diagonal or a cascade of flowers around the picture, the best place for my title would to be to the left of the picture. It's gonna read properly, and it's gonna bring up that blue that I'm using on the background, and it's actually gonna pop in the sea of the tropical colors that I use for the flowers. And now I'm gonna start working on the big clusters behind the pictures. And my choice is to create this cluster, kind of large cluster, behind the top right corner of the picture and also in the bottom left corner of the picture. I'm gonna bring the With Sympathy stamp set because I wanted to bring a few of darker leaves to the background, and my best choice is just to stamp them. So I use, I think it's Forest Glade ink for this, the crisp ink, just to create the stamped images in the background. And all I'm doing is just layering the images. I didn't have the die this time. I took some time to fussy cut them, and all I'm doing is layering the images just to create, like I said, a cluster behind the picture. And the beauty of the stamp set is that it has two flowers in it, one that's fully open and one that you can say that is half open and is a little bit on the side, so it's easy to create movement and create a more realistic look to the cluster. Love it. Along the way, I am gonna add pieces, stickers in this case, from the reflections kit. I just want to create, like I said, add some interest to those clusters because they're gonna be my visual triangle. You're gonna see that along the way, I also add a little bit of foam adhesive behind some of the flowers. That's just gonna create a little bit of extra height, not a lot, but just to make sure that there's a little bit of shadows. I wanna play with dimension. I wanna create a more realistic kind of look to the layout. And as I'm working with this, I'm realizing that the little stickers that I'm adding from the reflection kit has this wood texture to it. So I'm thinking that I'll need to bring a few wood texture pieces to this layout. And as you're gonna see, I'm just gonna finish working the cluster, and all I'm gonna do is, again, I'm using some of the frayed leaf actually this time around as ink, just to create the stamped images of the With Sympathy stamp set at the bottom of the cutout. And this is gonna help me create that dimension that I'm looking for and create a little bit of interest. Also, what I'm doing with this by stamping is I'm kind of elongating the image that I'm creating on that cluster. And like you're gonna see, you're gonna keep looking that I'm just keep stamping and adding some flowers just to finish the cluster. And then I'm gonna go ahead and work finishing the top cluster. It's not complete yet. I think it needs to have a little bit more height. So I'm gonna add more flowers, more stamped images, a few stickers, and I'm gonna bring actually one of the wooden buttons from the reflection kit. And once I added there, I thought, you know what, I think I need to bring more of that wood texture onto the layer. So I'm gonna bring one of the wooden butterflies. You're gonna see it towards the end, and I added to the bottom cluster. But once I shut off the camera, and once I started like ready to start shooting the pictures of it, and I realized that the layout needed to have a little bit more blue just to have the flowers pop more. So what I did is I cut a half an inch of the top of the layout and added the same amount of I'm gonna say a half an inch of the blue paper that I used to back the picture and to create the title at the bottom of the layout, and then added the butterfly as if it was flying towards the cluster, and then just added a few sentiments from the reflections kit stamp. Love how this turned out. Added a few stickers here and there. Love how this turned out. I hope you tried. Check my blog. I'm gonna link it to this video so you can see all the release and see what else I created for this hop. And thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in a little bit.